So today we want to talk about something that could seem a little odd for this channel, but you will see this is somewhat related to Japanese public policies. In fact, one of the ways the Japanese politicians tend to justify their most criticized policy is to say, look, this is happening elsewhere. Especially in France, which is a country viewed as having very high standard of organization. Well, today we talk about a French public plan that sends French teachers to Guyana, which is a colony in South America, and they receive very substantial salaries, but apparently their work it's basically useless. To do this, we invited Cindy, who has participated in this program. She's French, and she just returned from Guyana. So hi, Cindy, and welcome. Could you tell us, so how long have you been in Guyana teaching French?
Hi, Christian. So I stay in Guyana just 1 month there. I was looking for a job, and my boyfriend was there teaching too. So he told me they needed teachers in his school. So that's why I applied. And I had a brief interview before going with the Inspector of National Education. It tells me that I will start next week. So without any training in education and without knowing in which class I was going to teach, I was sent to the school.
Wow. Without any training, that's already something that's very surprising. But I want to know, why did you only stay a month? I mean, Guyana is very far. You had to take what, 2-3 planes to get there?
No, so first I took a plane from Paris to Cayenne, which is the capital of Guyana. And then from Cayenne in Guyana, I have to take a small plane who was direct to Camopi, the city where I took. On the road trip, it was an entire day.
An entire day you took to get there, but you only stayed a month. So yeah. Tell us why. Why did you only stay a month?
So when I arrived in Camopi on a Saturday and I started teaching on a Monday, at first, I was assigned to a class with students of 6 years old. So the first day I was in class, I was accompanied by a substitute teacher who had my class for 2 months since the last teacher had resigned in October. So I thought it was going to give me a program to follow and he will guide me, but it was not at all the case. So instead, I found myself facing a teacher who he had given up in front of the class. He didn't prepare any lessons. He printed photocopies taken from internet. And I found a real mess in the class. I was really alone. I really felt isolated.
So you basically, you have a completely different background. You studied completely different things. You didn't study for teaching. You didn't study to become a teacher. But nonetheless, as you arrived, you were just thrown in the class with all the students, which, if I understand, most of them, they didn't speak or understand French. Is that correct?
No, and I didn't know that. For me, they were speaking in French, but it was not the case at all. I noticed during classes that they didn't master reading or writing. They also didn't know how to count. So I look at their ratings and everything was filled randomly. So they were often tired in class, very hungry, and I realized that most of them had to get up early in the morning to come to school by canoe. Some live in very complicated family contexts with violence, alcohol. So I quickly understood that there was a real problem with the school system, and I realized that everything was complicated for these students because everything was taught in French. And the manuals at our disposal refer to situations that do not exist in a village. So everything was complicated for me and even for the teachers. You know, there are 2 Amerindian ethnic groups in my class, and each of them has its own language. They are called Teko and Wayapi, and French is not their mother tongue, so they only hear the French at school. That's all.
So before you, there were other teachers. And so apparently from what you're saying is that all these teaching hours, the students are listening to a teacher, and the actual work that the teacher is putting into the class, they are totally useless?
I don't know if it's useless for anybody. I don't want to make a generality, but for the majority of them it's the case, because when they arrive at school, when they have like 11 years old, they can't even read or understand really well French. So they don't have the level to go to high school and pursue their studies.
The living conditions of the teachers themselves are not exactly great. I mean, it's not like France that people imagine. It's not Paris. This is a real countryside. This is in the middle of the jungle. And you need to take a canoe, exactly like you explained, to go to school. So how exactly these teachers are drawn there, and they somehow find the will to stay there and to endure this situation, even though it doesn't seem to bring any results?
Some French people decide to come to this village because the salaries are very attractive and because the school is located in the very isolated area. They have a better salaries than in France.
But tell us, what is the salary? Let's not hide this, because people want to know, especially here in Japan. The salaries for teachers are very, very low, and people, everybody knows this, and it's a very terrible job, stressful, but the salary is extremely low. Can you tell us what is the average salary for somebody who has no teaching training, no training in teaching at all, and somebody who actually has teaching training? Can you tell us?
So for someone who has not teaching training, he will win 2,500 euros. And for someone with a diploma, he will win 5,000 euros.
Okay, so that's very substantial salary.
That's why they decide to come to this village, because it's more attractive than staying in France, where the salary is about 1,500 euros. It's a big difference.
Right. So it's like in some countries, people go in the military to earn a lot for a few months or even some years, and then they come back, they have a lot of money they can put aside, as a saving. But I'm curious also, can you tell us what is the major problem there? And of course, I'm referring to the alcoholism.
Maybe because there is a lack of work and a lack of opportunities, a lack of activities in the village. So a lot of young people, they have no future. They don't know what to do and they feel lost. Some continue the tradition of the family, but fewer and fewer young people want to live like their family did before. And they are more and more impregnated by Western culture. So many of them would like to live elsewhere as activities and work are lacking. So in Camopi, they have children at a young age, and they tend to have a lot of children. So the French government gives an allowance to families with children, and the more children you have, the more money you will have. So, and when the young people are 25 years old, they receive also a social income from the French government of 500 euros. So all this money is enough for them to live in the village. They do not need to worry about food, as it's their family who go for them for hunting, fishing to support themselves. So this situation creates a dependency and self-destructive behaviors, like there's a lot of alcoholism, intra-family violence, suicide attempts, addictions. So yes, young suicide is very alarming in the village of Camopi, and it continues to increase. And the first cause of death is of violent origins. There's a lot of hanging, canoe accidents, and alcohol is almost always associated with it.
Wow, incredible! So what you're saying is that the children become something of an asset to the family. So the more children they have, these children will get, for these children, the family will get social welfare. They will get money just for their existence. And when children themselves will turn 25, you said?
Yes, 25.
25, they will receive other support from the government around 500 euros a month?
Yes, that's it.
So they have no incentive to get out of this village, to get out of this life cycle of alcohol and bad education and violence, because the alcohol there, as you said, it fuels the violence within the families themselves. tell us, so who is paying for all this waste of money with no investment return?
This is a state who is paying for the salary of the teachers, so the taxpayers are.
As always. And do you think that the French people, the average French person, knows about this situation in Guyana?
Guyana is notorious for being difficult and for school failure, but I don't think they are really aware of how it's going in reality. Myself, I didn't know it before experiencing it. So Guyana, is very far from France. It's located in Latin America, and the French do not feel concerned about what happens outside the territory. So they will not protest for it.
And do you see any solution to this terrible system, to this waste of money and time and even lives themselves? Because as you said, these people, these young people, they grow up with basically no education at all, despite all the efforts and the money paid from the French government.
For me, the solution would be to increase the number of teachers from Amerindian communities. And rather than recruiting teachers who don't know the culture and stay in the village for a short time. And above all, the school program should be adapted to the actual level of the students, and culturally specificities should be taken into account. So this would allow a better valorization of the culture and the mother tongues, and a participation in the creation of local jobs. So this would promote the academic success of many children who would have higher chance of graduating, and it would also create employment opportunities so that the community will no longer be dependent on the outside.
Well, thank you so much, Cindy, for this insight into the situation in Guyana.
Thank you.